A lengthy injury report to dissect today on the Cowboys Report. 15 players either did not participate or were limited in some capacity at Wednesday's practice. We will break that down for you on today's show and why maybe it's not as bad as that eye-popping number might suggest. Before we dive in, we are a meager 64 subs away from 229,000 here on the Cowboys Report. Hit that sub button if you haven't already for free Cowboys videos twice a day minimum. Don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. All right, first, the 5 players who did not participate, the ones that maybe have the least likely shot at being able to make it to the game day active roster this Sunday. Tyler Booker, high ankle sprain, did not practice again. I think next week is probably a better over-under for him and for CeeDee Lamb, both guys dealing with high ankle sprains at this time. Jack Sanborn in the concussion protocol, so it's a big old we'll see if he's able to go or not. Tyler Guyton did not make it in time last week, by the way. KaVontae Turpin rehabbing from his DaRon Bland style, reportedly, foot issue. Bland missed 2 weeks, so we'll see about Turpin there. We do finally know what happened to Donovan Wilson. Elbow and knee injury for Wilson, or I guess injuries there. He did not participate today on Wednesday. Now for the limited players. And remember, limited on Wednesday normally means you're going to be able to play on Sunday unless you got hurt during practice. So we don't know that yet. We'll know more tomorrow. But DaRon Bland, he banged up his shoulder in the game, did come back in. So he's clearly hurting, but I'm not too worried about it there. Jadeveon Clowney, in his return home game, was limited with a hip injury. I'm not overly concerned on that one. Ajani Cornelius, it says knee/knee. So I think that means both knees hurt right now for Ajani Cornelius. Was limited there. Makes me think this is going to end up being a situation in which he's okay, and maybe they IR stash him to make the numbers work here math-wise. Trevon Diggs remains banged up with his knee injury, limited. That's going to be a management thing all season long, at least for a little bit. Tyler Guyton making his way back through the concussion protocol. Limited there, which is a promising sign for Guyton as he continues to move forward through that protocol. Bodes well for him being able to make it next week or this Sunday. James Houston popping up on the injury report with a knee issue. He was limited. Miles Sanders, we'll talk more about this. At practice, left early. Knee and ankle still for him. Tyler Smith getting back in a limited participation amount at practice today. Juanyeh Thomas was limited again with his own ankle injury. And Marshawn Kneeland, who missed the game and missed practice late last week, limited. In general, those guys who were hurt last week and did not play, being upgraded to limited on Wednesday, actually does bode pretty well. So I know it's a 15-man list we just went through out of the 53 you have on your active roster. A lot of them actually should be okay to play on Sunday. So what is your concern level over the Cowboys' injuries right now? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Let's begin more in depth on Tyler Booker. Again, did not practice today. He's recovering from his high ankle sprain. Jerry Jones, it kind of implied some hope that, hey, maybe Booker would be back out there this week. If he can't go by Thursday in a limited fashion, I think you can pretty much assume he's not going to be able to play, which isn't overly shocking. It's the high ankle sprain that was supposed to be 4 to 6 week injuries. I think there is a chance, though, he's able to go when we get to the Commanders game next Sunday. Tyler Smith, after being active but not playing last week with his knee injury, I think Brian Broaddus said it was tendonitis. He was back at practice, limited fashion on Wednesday. Wouldn't be shocked if he's limited again on Thursday. Maybe they give him the full practice, but the fact he was able to return, as long as there are no setbacks, I do think sets up pretty well for Tyler Smith making his return this week to the Cowboys at left guard in the game and not just being the emergency backup. Tyler Guyton does seem to be progressing out of concussion protocol. That's what Brian Schottenheimer said. He was out there, limited fashion. If he can get a full in Thursday or Friday, I think the Cowboys will start him. If he remains limited, depending on what the limited reps are, I do think there is a scenario in which the Cowboys go, yeah, he didn't do all of this week at practice. Because there's not a huge gap between Nathan Thomas and Tyler Guyton, let's go with the guy that got more team reps. I want to acknowledge that as a possibility. Maybe he goes full again against the Commanders. Carolina does not have a great pass rush group, so you should be okay either way. I'm also very intrigued. My conspiracy theory alarms are going off of, Cornelius hasn't played all year. Now he's got dueling knee injuries. I wonder if they put him on IR and stash him. They're getting healthier along the offensive line. They need to bring back Cooper Beebe at some point soon. They're going to have to bring back guys like Jonathan Mingo and Kalen Carson if they want to keep him at all this year. The numbers game is kind of deep along the offensive line. Maybe Cornelius could be an IR stash move for the Cowboys. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. The father of 2 kids, it's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Ethos, the trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. And as of March 25th, Business Insider has named Ethos as the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. That link is in the comments and the description of today's show. Let's go to Donovan Wilson. Didn't practice, I think putting his availability very much in doubt. Wasn't out there on the field at all, by the way, just for the media open session for Sunday. Now we know it's an elbow and knee injury, so 2 different ailments there. Don't know which is worse as of filming right now for Donovan Wilson. He did leave the game against the Jets. Then it was very quiet for what's the injury? And nobody really seemed to know in the end. Now we know, elbow/knee. There is a possibility you're down your 2 starting safeties. And Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker's already on IR. I'm not that worried about the Juanyeh Thomas ankle issue. I think it's just a management thing, and he'll probably be full on Thursday. If not, we can reevaluate later in the week. I also would like to acknowledge Marquise Bell subbed in for Donovan Wilson when he went down first. Marquise Bell struggled in the preseason. They think the coaching staff has held that against him. I think there's a non-zero chance we see some Elijah Clark in this game. So if if Wilson and Hooker do not play, who should start alongside Juanyeh Thomas? MB for Marquise Bell, AC for Elijah Clark. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let's stick on the defense here. Marshawn Kneeland. It's never a good sign when someone wasn't on the injury report and then popped up on Thursday. It means something happened. That happened to Kneeland. He got hurt on Thursday last week, didn't practice Friday, missed the game on Sunday. That he is already back at practice today, even in a limited fashion, bodes well for Kneeland being able to play on Sunday. I think a Panthers team that wants to run the football, probably you're going to want to have Kneeland out there as much as possible. James Houston popping up now on the injury report. Again, he was limited. I'm not going to worry about it. I still want him rushing the passer. He's not big. I don't know if he can ever be a true 3-down, 60-snap guy. Not that many guys are. And elite run defender. But he gets up to the QB, and I need that on this defense on 3rd downs. Clowney also a bit banged up right now. Hip issue there. Again, as long as none of those injuries happened during practice and it was just banged up coming out of the game, I'm not going to worry about it. Cowboys do go 6 deep on in the defensive end room. I do wonder if at some point the numbers game necessitates that they scratch somebody, but I don't think they have to go down that path if they don't want to, and they can have a pretty fresh rotation crop of throwing stuff at the wall and trying to get pressure. Over to the wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb. Don't think he'll be able to go. I think there's an outside shot, but unless he can be a limited participant or potentially full participant on Thursday, which seems unlikely, I think missing 2 weeks and potentially back in time for the Panthers game, or missing 3 weeks and back in time for the Commanders game is in the range of outcomes there for Lamb. I think that should be the goal. Back next week for CeeDee Lamb. So will that happen? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Will CeeDee Lamb be back next week for the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's go to KaVontae Turpin. I know Jerry Jones had offered some praise there, or some hope there, I should say. Turpin missed practice as he continues to rehab his foot injury, which does kind of raise some concerns. The reporting initially had been this was kind of similar to the DaRon Bland injury, which ended up costing him a little bit of time. So 2 weeks, I don't think this is the week for KaVontae Turpin. Again, next week against the Commanders, can you get healthier, have some more full allotment of personnel and players to be able to deploy and utilize? In the meantime, you have George Pickens. You have the suddenly emerging Ryan Flanoy. You have Jalen Tolbert. You have one more game day call-up left for Jalen Cropper. You have 2 more game day call-ups left for Jalen Brooks, and 3 more if you need them for Trayshawn Holden and Paris Campbell. And you can get Jonathan Mingo back at any point now that he's had his window to practice open. So certainly worth monitoring how the wide receiver room shakes out these next 2 weeks. Cornerback-wise, look, DaRon Bland banged up his shoulder in the game against the Jets, but came back, so I'm not worried about it. Trevon Diggs has had to manage that knee for a little bit now. I'm not too worried about it. You know, they'll be limited earlier in the week. Maybe they get a full on Thursday or Friday, and then they'll be playing in the game. I'm not too concerned on that front there. So that's the corners. The running backs are next up here. Miles Sanders. He returned to practice, but the reporting from all the media there was he actually left about 20 minutes in, which is concerning to me. It's limited either way, but that makes me wonder if he kind of didn't feel right, tweaked it, whatever. So we'll monitor Miles Sanders' status. What does it look like tomorrow? There could be regression to DNP, could stay limited. No guarantee he ends up playing this upcoming week. If he's not quite 100%, if he's still a bit banged up, I would not be overly shocked to see Jaden Blue be active again over Miles Sanders. They do have Phil Maffa in the backfield as an emergency option in terms of just on IR. He can come off of IR whenever. I am of the belief that he's probably just not going to, barring other injuries. He's probably just going to be a stash in the end for the Dallas Cowboys. So if they're both healthy, who should play right now? MS for Miles Sanders, JB for Jaden Blue. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, who do you think should play more, MS or JB? Let's go to Jack Sanborn. In concussion protocol, did not practice on Wednesday. Uphill battle to play. It's concussion protocol. It's not, you can't just like power through it. If you're not able to go, they're not going to clear you. It's not like you can't just get an injection and go play through the pain. That's not how it works. So unknown on Jack Sanborn. I would lean towards him not playing as of filming this on Wednesday, which maybe isn't a bad thing for many of you out there. My guess it'll be a heavy dose of Kenneth Murray, Maurice Leafau. Probably should flip Shamar James into Monk at this point on the depth chart. Those will probably be your 3 base linebackers, and then might be more of Murray and Shamar James with their coverage abilities and athletic abilities, maybe I should say is a bit more accurate, on third downs against Bryce Young and the Panthers. Speaking of the Panthers, this is their injury report. Caleb Evans did not participate. That's a hamstring injury for one of the backup corners in Carolina. He's behind J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson on the outside. Taylor Motton and Chuba Hubbard did not participate. That's a new injury for Taylor Motton. So keep an eye on that one. That is one of, if not their best offensive linemen. Kind of thin on the offense line if he cannot go. Hubbard probably won't play, so it'll stay the Rico Dowdle revenge game. Tershawn Wharton's been battling that toe injury. See if he can play or not. There's some youthful pieces behind him. JT Sanders should be back at tight end for Carolina. Limited on Wednesday with an ankle that banged up last week. Normally means he should be able to play.